Well, good morning, gardeners and homesteaders. I hope you're having a beautiful day, as I am. And I want to welcome you back to Sandy Bottom Homestead. I'm glad you could stop by. And I want to do a very thankful homestead tour today. I know I did one recently, but things are just going pretty good right now. We're going to do a little bit of harvesting. I want to just check on a few things and just take you around, let you see how the fall garden is progressing. This is one of the best but can be a difficult time for us, so we are making it, but we have a lot of things going on. We've got something growing in every single bed, and we're trying to get things to wrap up, but it can be a little bit difficult to get them to wrap up when I want them to. So our first garden bed we added in, doing really good. We thinned out our radishes last week, and they're now starting to flourish a little bit more, and I actually just noticed that this one here is really getting its true leaves, so it's just a matter of time before everything else does. And the bok choy is really starting to come along. The onions that we put in, I think last week or the week before, are starting to do well. They haven't shown any signs of stress or anything, so they're doing well. And the garlic, well, you know, we're just gonna wait for the garlic. I get a little bit anxious and I want to see if it's peaking up, but I know it's not yet, so we're just gonna leave it. But I'm excited to get this bed going, and this bok choy behind us is really starting to turn the corner, and now it should really start to plump up a lot faster as long as our weather holds out. And we're supposed to be getting more rain, so usually when we get rain, it seems like everything just grows a lot faster and better. And once that comes, then we're gonna try and harvest all of that at once so we can get another round of onions in the ground. For our lettuce, radish, and bok choy beds doing very well. Everything's starting to come along. This lettuce is just about there. We could harvest it at any time. I used to do cut and come again, and I've kind of gotten away from it. And I may do a little bit of cut and come again right now just to keep it going, since I don't have a lot of these large lettuce plants. This is a Tom Thumb lettuce, and it's doing well, but we're going to we're gonna eat that by a whole head, and they don't get very big. But like these, for instance, we can make some more room. This one's getting a little funky. It's like falling over, so we may end up just harvesting this whole head and then just let the other ones grow and cut and come again on those. The radishes are doing well here. They're starting to come about, and you can see this bok choy is doing very, very well. So that is impressive to me. And this is the bed that actually made it through the first frost without much of an issue. Put this low tunnel over it, and it continued to grow through the frost. So we're just gonna kind of let it go and do its thing. And I do need to start harvesting stuff, which we will do some today. And this is gonna be every day we'll get a little bit here and there. We typically don't do very large harvests at once. We just do a little bit at a time, just to fill in the gaps for our diet through this time of year. Brussels sprout bed is still doing good. Since you guys have been following it, we have treated it, and we need to do another treatment, but you can see our Brussels sprouts are starting to come along a little bit better. And this is the farthest we've been, so we're gonna keep going along. And I am gonna come back through here and then just re-tie up some stuff that's grown, because what I did last time is when I just tied up a few that were out of control, and what it ended up doing is creating my nice rows that I had ended up planting that I didn't know. So we'll continue that one. And I wish I didn't have this out here, because I would love to get in front of this bed, but I can't stand that sound. So we're just gonna leave it. And the sad part is I may not even use this more than 2 or 3 times before this bed's empty. But better safe than sorry, right? It can't all be good news. I'm gonna have to show you something here that just makes me a little bit sad, but it happens every year. So I'm kind of skipping around, but I wanted to get it out of the way. Our broccoli bed, this is it. This is what you get. We've had a couple issues with our broccoli this year, and I don't know. We started off with, I think, 27 broccolis, and now we've got that we hopefully will get from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now I remember I came on here and said at some point that they had got overwatered, and I thought that was the case. And then recently I pulled up a plant, and so here's one that's not going to make it. There's your root system right there. Not much to it, is there? You know what happened? I'm pretty sure, and I'm actually just gonna show you. This is the hole where I just pulled that up from. Let's just dig down a little bit and see what's there. I know what was there. There was ants in here. And you can see them on the bed. And I had the same thing happen in the spring with my taters. It poses an interesting question, and I'd like to know in the comments if you guys have had any issues with ants in your beds. I've read ad nauseum that ants are a good thing in your bed because they create channels and pathways for the water to get through, the nutrients and stuff. But man, I'm telling you, I feel like they eat my roots. I mean, when I pulled up the one plant, there was just ants all over it. And I had to come out here. When I noticed that, what I ended up doing is I came up and I mounded up around some of the plants so they could get more roots to grow, and then I fed them. And that seemed to have some of them turn the corner a little bit. But I mean, basically it's just total devastation, and I'm not buying it anymore that the ants are what protect it or what make the ants any better. I think they make it worse because I had them in my taters in this bed, the Brussels sprout bed, earlier in the spring, and I mean, they would just decimate. The plant would fall over, they'd be covered in ants. And you're looking at it, not all of the plants are affected, so you know it's probably not a disease. Didn't see any other pests, dug them up. The only thing I found that was in common were ants. So I think the fire ants are doing it. So leave us a comment below if you've ever noticed this before. And I think this is a new thing that I think a lot of the publications are incorrect about ants. I'm just gonna go ahead and say it out loud. Somebody's wrong out there. But our cabbage bed is coming along swimmingly well. And this is another hybrid versus heirloom situation. And I can't remember which is where. I can look at plants individually and get an idea of what is what, but we kind of got the spacing a little jacked up. And I think what actually happened was because of the heat, we had death in some of the rows. So we're missing pieces and parts, but you can see that we're just about to start forming a head. Hopefully we will get some of this cabbage by December. I'm hoping. It's gonna be a race to see if we're gonna get it in December or February to March. I'm okay either way. I would rather get, you know, I can see like this one, and this one, and this one, and this one. If I can get these 4 heads, then I'll be happy because I'll get my harvest enough to get me by, and then I can cut it and, you know, give it more space to grow and whatnot. And then I can come back and plant more when it's time. What we're hoping to do. And I mean, if you think about it, one cabbage, if it's a decent sized cabbage, is 2 maybe 3 meals. So if we get 4, I mean, that's plenty of cabbage to last us. You know, we'll have a little flush of eating cabbage and then we can move on. So, you know, we'll have some fun with that, but otherwise it just kind of is what it is. We've got our Seminole pumpkins on this cattle panel here, and they are fighting. I'm here to tell you. And it seems like every year I have a squash or a pumpkin or something that's really strong right towards the frost and just won't let go. And this is one of them, and I'll show you what's growing on it. We've got this pumpkin here, which actually looks like I can harvest it. But I think the plant's going through a lot of stress right now, and it's putting on a lot of blooms. So we've got 1, and then come over here. I think I saw at some point like 4 or 5 more squash somewhere between this and all the way down this line. And I simply just think that it's causing the plant's going through stress because of the cold, and it's trying to reproduce. And you know what? We're just going to take advantage of it the best we can. So it's going in the right direction. I walked away from this last garden bed that we've been working on. This is the last one we added here, and we're not done putting the dirt in. We've got the drip system built and everything. We've got a row of bok choy in, and then a row of kale on the back, and that's black mamba kale. And it's just kind of doing its thing. We're gonna add more soil around the plants and into the bed here probably next week, I imagine. And then that will just help. We'll finish that bed off. Then that back row, we'll just let all the kale grow for the whole winter, harvest as much as we can, plant it in the spring, and that's where our sweet potatoes are going to go next year. So we'll have it all emptied by April of next year. But I'm not worried about letting that garden bed rest because it's brand new, so we're going to push it hard as soon as we can. The wild garden's growing. We've got an empty row up front that we mulched the other day. We've got daikon radishes in the back. We've got a couple peppers here. I actually just need to pull this one up. It's got like one jalapeno on it, not worth keeping. And then we've got a couple here. And because the weather's been the way it is, since we're getting, I've actually been coming out here and grabbing these as snacking on them. I've got a couple plants spaced throughout my yard. So if I can keep getting snacks off of them, I'm gonna keep growing them. These daikon radishes are doing well. The parsnips in this bed, they're coming along. I would imagine this will probably be a spring harvest because we got them started late. But we want to go ahead and get this bed mulched and topped off soon because it is compacted. I mean, I'm pushing now. It's better than it was, but it is still a little compacted. We've got a row of carrots in there. And then if we come back here to where it's shady now, these are all collards. And then we've got a couple more kale plants. We've got another row of collards. And then we've got our daikon radishes here. And you can see, like, look at this guy. Let's go ahead. And that's why we're thankful. I harvested it, the tip of the daikon radish broke off in the garden, but I'm not really upset about it because it soaks up the nutrients, and then whatever is left in the ground, it will just break down over the winter and then release it back into the garden. But I mean, I don't know. They're supposed to drill pretty hard, and that's about the depth from here to here in which the compaction starts. I'm sure it's pretty compacted down below. So we're just gonna try and leave as many of these. We're still gonna harvest them more than likely, but we're gonna leave, there's not gonna be enough for us, or there's gonna be too much. We won't be able to eat them. So we'll just leave them in and let them keep going. So this bed here, this is a real shady spot. So we don't really have super high hopes, but we wanna keep things growing as long as possible. So we've got 2 mustards here, and then a row and spaced in between some radishes, a row of carrots, and then I believe there's either beets or daikon radishes up front, and they're not really doing much. And I think it's because of the soil's not giving it. So we knew that we had to work on this, and the goal is just to let it keep growing, let it keep working. And I think that's just the key to all of it, is just let it keep growing and working, and just work that soil, work it, mulch it, top it off, whatever it takes. The other bed I've talked about ad nauseum on the channel, it's got carrots, and we just seeded the spinach, so we're waiting for the spinach to come up. It's I think I saw some popping up earlier, but it's nothing really to show. So I'll spare you from that and trying to keep the video a little bit shorter. These garden tours can get kind of long. This bed over here is the rutabagas, and they're doing well. I mean, you can see they're growing good. We did have an issue with them, and when we start harvesting them, I will go into that in depth, but there will be a harvest off of them. It just is not going to be what we expected. We've got one nasturtium here that's somehow planted, so we're just going to let that grow. And then we've got a couple peas in the back, which this trellis right here, this time of year, doesn't get a lot of sun, so stuff really doesn't grow. But I still wanted to put the plant in the ground just to get it growing, see what we can do. So let's go into the greenhouse and actually get some groceries. So we come in here, we've got, first of all, we're gonna get some bok choy now, but just look at this. That is a beautiful sight. It's like absolutely perfect. Foliage on it, everything. I am thrilled to death with that. So I think we're gonna take a couple out today and make some room so we can plant some more, to be honest. But we've got some more black mamba kale up here. We've got some mustards in the back row. We've got some more Tom Thumb lettuce with some peas on the trellis. And then our spinach, about called them Brussels sprouts, our spinach are doing well. We reseeded and they're coming up too. So we are starting to get there. Our first of many bok choy harvests for the year. Let's see here. Look at this. I mean, that's perfect. Isn't that just absolutely perfect? I love that. I hate to cut it off, but you know, what's the point in growing it if you're not going to eat it? And now what I will do is anything that's done looking, I'm going to try and go every other one and create a little bit of space. And then I'll probably come back behind and then replant again in the spaces here in the next couple days. But let's see. I think that's good size, nice and tender, just beautiful, beautiful. Thing I do want to do is I want to taste this mustard. So I like my mustard spicy, and I want to see how spicy this mustard's getting. That's not spicy enough. Well, not yet. I'd say couple weeks maybe we'll start getting it more spicy, especially as the temperature starts to drop more, but it still raises in here and it starts to stress the plant. It'll probably make it a little bit more spicy, and that's what we're going for. But this is a Creole mustard, I believe, and we've been saving the seed for a couple of years now, so I'm losing track of what it is, but nevertheless it's a good snack. And it's really good for the soil. It helps with root knot nematodes. So all I'm doing here, I'm just gonna trim it up real small so it breaks down the soil. No point in taking that little bit out to the compost pile. But yeah, it's starting to get the spice that we want. So that's good. But we're not forecasted for the next 10 days to get below freezing at all, so this is like prime growing season for this stuff. So as I was looking around in there, I'm trying not to spill this, I actually ended up getting a little bit of spinach, and I dropped an all precious leaf. So that kicks off our spinach harvest for the year. Now it'll be slow, but we'll start harvesting more and more of it. And when you get small stuff like that, just eat it raw. Don't even try and cook it, because you'd end up getting like a tablespoonful. It'd be ridiculous. But yeah, we got 4 bok choy, 1 daikon radish, and then a handful of spinach. So I can even, if I wanted to, get some of these radishes right here, but I don't really want radishes to eat right now. So I think we're just gonna leave them maybe a little bit longer, and then we'll come back, let them get some size to them. Some of them are starting to get some pretty good size. And I'm gonna let them, if they get overgrown, they'll get spicy. I actually like spicy radishes, so we'll leave those for a little bit, maybe get some in a couple days. Shouldn't take too long. Now that was the garden, so let's go over here to the bees. Hopefully I don't get stung. They're a little ornery right now. So these are the bees, and they're doing actually pretty good. You know, they've got food in there. You can see here, see in the front of the hive here, you've got these big fat bees just hanging out in the front. Those are the drones, those are the male bees. And so a tall tale sign that winter is coming is they start kicking out the male bees and basically just let them die. So every day I'm coming out here and there's a couple more male bees. I don't know if they're still being born or what, but they're kicking them out. We've got them all winterized now for the most part. We still have an extra layer of protection we can put around them if we need it. They've got the top boxes have brood in them, and then they've got some honey in there that we're gonna leave for them for this year. And then the bottom boxes has got some nectar, stuff that we've given them to hopefully they can build up more and have a little bit more food, or they can go through it now and save what's in the top box for the coldest days of winter. But I haven't done a video about them recently because I did a mite treatment on it, and then I've been teaching my son how to help with the bees, so I just really need to focus on him. And plus it seems like you guys don't really like to see the bees. So if you like seeing the bees, comment below, and you know, we'll continue to do it. I mean, truth be told, I'll probably continue to do it anyways because this is part of my homestead. But you know, I'd like to know if you guys enjoy seeing me learn how to work bees and stuff like that. Because next year when we get our honey, hopefully, and we're expanding as well, so we have more hives. We've already built 1 and we're getting 2 or 3 more. So we just need to make the bees for it, but we're gonna be expanding, so we're gonna have a pretty good amount of bees on our property. So yeah, next year should be a lot of bee activity going on, but if you guys wanna see the video, let us know. And then we'll come back here to the chickens. So right now we've got 11 chickens, and they're doing fine. One of them's kind of stupid looking. See if I can get her out for you. I'll show you why. So you guys see Flapper with the mohawk? She is doing well. She's just silly. She's not the dumb looking one. But you better watch out when you mess with that chicken, boy. She will fly and just run around like crazy. Look at her, she can't even sit still. Look, you ain't gonna get my camera now. So Flapper's hanging in there. These are our last batch of babies and they are best buds. So they just kind of hang out and do their own thing. And then you can see the rest of them. So this one is Fluffy Face. It's an Easter egger and she is molting right now. She picked a horrible time to molt. So she's losing her feathers and she's gonna get them back. She is not impressed, I can tell you that much. I mean, look, you're gonna lose all of your insulation just before it gets cold, I guess, right? It seems like every year somebody loses all their feathers and then it comes back, but they are not laying right now, and that's because of the sunlight. So the amount of sun dictates how much light you get. Now we could put a light out in the chicken coop and that would cause them to start laying more, but it also shortens their lifespan. And since we do seasonal eating, which basically is when it's in season, we eat it, and when it's not in season, we try not to eat it. I mean, we still go to the grocery store and stuff clearly, but you know, we try not to, so we lower our egg consumption down this time of year. We're not selling eggs or anything like that until they start laying again, which should happen right around January. They'll start laying more and the younger chickens should be old enough then, so we should start to get a lot of eggs, but we just lower our consumption rate down and we move on to something else. It just kind of is what it is, you know. We don't want to push them past their limits and make them do something that they naturally would not want to do. So again, and I don't want to run electricity out here, so we just let them do their thing. Let their bodies rest. And when they want to lay, we'll be here waiting for eggs. Goodbye.